Hey guys, welcome back, let's begin. Nizu's office was dead silent since midnight, informed the child is awake and walking. They needed further information that may add up to the puzzle. The incident yesterday is now being reported on the television which the three men watching, and was found many similar incidents around the city in such short time. Black ashes left behind by an entity or something, nobody knows what, and the news already spreading like wildfire of many witnesses claiming to see or presumably making up stories of the non-existent. However, with all the lack of information of whatever came out or caused the fire pillar to the sky, even detectives considering each of tales of a giant monster to a scythe-wielding reaper, and with some deeper inspection, few reports are similar. The common part of these reports are bright moving lights and a heavy sound of a motorcycle. And it took about 12 or so hours, and the reports including the crime sites are more than 7 to 11. And almost 64 confirmed deaths, and as well found 4 comatose bodies and an heavily injured local hero. Overall, the news was bone-chilling enough. Police and pro-heroes now had to extend their reach to every part of the city, as well as find any suspicious individuals or a same pattern crime scene. People started the gossip. And that going in trending for a while, it seems. At least we have a possible pattern, Tsukachi said, gaining others' attention. What? Aizawa asked. Well, as far as these incidents progressing, the victims are either villains or the people has dirt on them. Many of those died. I was investigating on them at some point. But they never had a permanent hideouts, and eventually many outsmarted our departments or slaughtered those who has information on them, Tsukachi explains. But what about that injured hero? Yagi wondered, just as brainstorming as others. Tsukachi shrugged. All we could do is rely on the kid. Unless we can find any footages or legit witnesses. Other than that, it's hopeless to think of anything on our own. If the case is leading and proven cold-blooded murder with no reason to, we have to think of secure the students and help them at all cost. Just coincidences can happen at the worst way possible. We can't tell who's next, Nizu said. We'll try, Tsukachi said, but Nizu was thinking of different. To secure, I mean, we should do the dormitory project and have our precious students settle in the Onyudata compound. After all, present and past affects the future. Right. The plan was great. At least they could not fail the next generation at any means, and must protect them so they could live up to their dreams. Inform parents and students. We need them moved here in a week, Nizu instructed, and nobody objected. Nizu plans has the charm, so they trust his decisions. With all these happening, one of them got a serious affect yesterday at physical test. Aizawa grumbled and others nodded. Izumi Midoriya. Right? Recovery girl informed she was panicking when out cold. Her mother said her little brother's death affected her and the boy wanted to become a hero, Nizu said. Others felt a pinch of hurt knowing that a hero fallen before his dreams come true. No wonder why she was trying her hardest even after scoring the best on all the tests. Aizawa voiced out his thoughts. He was a quirkless child, if I recall it correctly. Poor kid died because of villain trying to outrun Hawks on a car. The criminal later proven that he was driving under a heavy dosage of drugs. Tsukachi, the leading officer of the incident, said. Yagi, though, he heard that name before. Izuku Midoriya. But the hero works and heavy stress with his health condition. The memory of that name was cloudy, but his gut told him how much he's aware of the fallen child. He only recall a small child he met on the rooftop, but hazily. He only remembers that kid was a boy, and due to how All Might was in such a hurry, he doesn't remember much except for a broccoli hair. The news was saddening. Someone died wanting to be a hero knowing they are quirkless, and the dream left behind after they're gone because of someone else's fault. The kid must have tough due to how society treats them. If nobody, Aizawa is one to relate him and the deceased child, and truly he got an image of how much the kid have struggled. Until the end. Izumi Midoriya little brother refused to give up but had no choice in the end. Life is a bitch to those who really deserves happiness. They exchanged small talks, and Aizawa is just there because the child and the incident yesterday. He's not the type to get involved into anything until he sees something interesting or reasonable enough. Time passed and midnight came back with an awake but a wary-looking 5-year-old in her hands. The child so small compared to those at his age and barely weigh enough to say he'll live. but he's far from healthy. Both physically and mentally. And if this child is the one at the crime scene, then it's safe to say, a child this age with all the wounds and the fear in his brown empty eyes, that he's gone through a lot. Traumatizing. Unusual things a normal child shouldn't have. He's shaking on the R-rated Pro hands, still afraid of them, and the only thing keeping the child from snapping is midnight quirk. It was calming and refreshing, so Izawa asked her to be around the child. And she willingly accepted. Who wouldn't? After a while, the atmosphere cooled down and the little kid is so sure he's now safe but not yet was comfortable around them. Hello there. I'm a police officer and these people here are pro heroes. Nobody can't hurt you here. Don't worry. Tsukachi said in his calmest and the most cheerful voice that may finally let the boy calm down fully. Midnight was sitting on a chair with the boy on her lap, her palm gently stroking his fluffy but a bit dirty hair. The boy nodded slowly and looked at them, trying his hardest to not panic, and he saw no lies. Amusement on their faces, and sighed a shakily breath few times and nodded at the man. Can I ask few questions? Can we do that? Tsukachi asked, careful not startle the kid, who nodded again. Okay, here it goes. Is your name Tei Honkawa? Yes. Tei stuttered. Truth. Where is your parents? Are they still with you, Tei? Tsukachi asked the personal question, knowing that may make the boy go into a breakdown, but he added his softest voice to ask that. They went missing together 2 years ago. Tei was silent and Midnight cooed some comforting lines and the boy just shook his head a no. The why killed mommy, he said. Tears falling and crying. The heroes felt that familiar feeling crept deep up in their heart, the one when you know you couldn't help a small, now orphan child. The guilt was severe. Do you know this person? Tsukachi hesitantly reached for a photo from his file after the boy calmed down again. When he showed the photo, they see mixture of fear, anger and disgust on the child face. What happened? Midnight soothing asked the boy, who was staring at the photo, shaking slightly. Yes. The boy said, and Tsukachi nodded. But before any of them asked something, the boy mumbled something. Last night's incident, he saw it all from behind building and saw how the man suffered. The same way his mother and countless others suffered. Tei heard his tormentor and the cause of a man to steal his parents' life and everything, screaming, begging for forgiveness from his savior. The terrifying figure he first didn't dare to look in the eye, but when the figure motioned him to go, Tei started to believe that the figure he saw is beyond anything he saw before. Gods do exists. You have to look for one. He remembered his mother saying those words, and now he thinks he found the real God. What was that? Midnight asked as she and others heard the boy mumble, and then the unexpected happened. Tei gave a small smile as he looked up at the adults. He screamed just like me and Mama did when my savior killed him. Tei said nervously, but wearing a happy smile on his face. Now his mama is happy. The man who tortured them finally learned his lesson. The adults was stunned and looked at each other and realized. Tei talking of the same entity the police are looking for. Can I ask you who was your savior and how do they looks like? Izawa asked curiously, and they all leaned closer to hear what the boy has to say. By the look of photos and the explosion, they had idea what level threat the savior would be. Like, what was their name? If you know. Tsukachi added, and the boy looked at them and thought about the flaming man. I don't know who or what are that person was. They were silent, creepy and scary with green fire on their skeleton. Izumi's POV, the same day evening. I was feeling horrible since the fitness test because of the headaches and the small burn my right hand. Even after a good sleep, I feel dizzy, but I somehow still kicking. Mom wasn't willing for let me come to school and wasn't even interested about the dormitory setup which all students has to move into at weekend after a special class said gonna happen. But somehow I convince her. It's necessary if a person wanna be a hero. No regrets. No hesitation. I had to monologue almost 100 All Might dialogues for her to give up on the matter. Eventually I was allowed to stay at the dorms that opening in almost 5 days or less. And here am I, in an observation room with rest of 1A and the number 1 hero, watching the hero vs villain test. All Might said that all the students divided in 2 individual group of both hero and villain. And in the end I'm paired with Okako and gonna face a villain team that All Might chooses. But until now almost every match were finished with villains having scored better than heroes. Now only 2 rounds left, and in either of those is our time comes randomly, so I was preparing while Okako and others talking about the mysterious vigilante that came out of a green fire pillar. At least that's what authorities claiming they found out, and I watched news last night, but I don't believe something they claim to be exist. May or may not some villain doing it in order to spread fear by doing something with a machine or bomb or whatever. At least we have All Might if things go south, or so many pro heroes. I believe in them, and I hope eventually others trust us, the future hero, the same way. Then All Might called out me and Okako as hero facing Bakugo and Itza. It's our turn now and we are playing the hero role. As me and my partner walked to the building, I was sure as heck Itza is more reasonable and Bakugo is overconfident. But since Izuku death, he's afraid of me. After all, I became more unforgivable and stubborn and mad that I fight without any second thought or realization if my attacks hurt my foes or even worse. But I refuse to hurt someone that's not Bakugo. I don't give a damn, I kill him in the end. Begin. All Might voice boomed the battlegrounds, and our enemies are already inside the building, as well as Okako, who didn't even realize I was slacking off. Sighing, I made mental image of not completely go influenced by the emotions, as well as our victory that now need to be inevitable, and rest is to All Might to decide who to choose as winners. Ami. Have plan? We cannot risk even a small portion. Okako reminded, and I nodded. I'll let myself as a bait. You secure the weapon. Katsuki will go after me, I said, and she looked at me unsure. I can't blame her though. It's no solid plan, but seeing how Katsuki has his stubbornness in him, he will come after me so he can show me his power even though he's uneasy around me. He'll be more violent and aggressive to mask his doubtful face I saw in him in these 10 months. He won't waste no time, and I'm sure of it. Besides, Okako has an advantage of her quirk. She can either float herself up or catch Itza off guard. She's perfect, but Itza is smart too though. You sure? No backups? Is offensive approach a good idea? Okako voiced out her concern. Depends on the situations. Now is a great time, and also use your quirk either on you or Itza if your sneak approach fails. You know better than me. How good is your quirk is? I assured her, and the wall exploded. Bakugo landed between me and Okako as I thought he'll do. Okako sneaked away, leaving both of us. I snickered coldly at the blonde who stood there with an intense expression, with a ready stance that looked more of a rushed. The way he was opposing me, I sure as heck can see he's actually troubled. More like an adrenaline, I have to say. He won't be fighting for a while. He's now in between the 2 stages of forced confidence and unsure of anything else, including his current position. Predictable. As always, Kikin. I teased, seeing his left eye twitch. That nickname sure do an impact on his pride, and knowing him, he'll use rage to cover his true feelings. Stop fucking calling me that, he shouted, going for a explosive powered right hook that I knew he'll do. Typical Katsuki. Kikin will use his right hook. Ami, I do remember when Izuku instructed me when me and Katsuki fought the second time on middle school. Now his analysis on Katsuki is as readable to me, and I'm sure that the information won't erased from my mind. Instead of dodging the blow, I raised a psychic shield just to block and dropped it immediately with my own knee to his chest and a spinning heel kick. He was about to fall when he exploded the ground, lifting himself up in the air to propel towards me. Same trick over and over again. Katsuki. So will I. I laughed, surrounding him with a purple aura, and ducked so he flew over my head and hit the opposite wall, still surrounded in the purple aura I uses to make him not to use his explosion, and I lifted him up so fast he slammed onto the ceiling and going through it, distracting Itza, who was head on fighting Okako. With enough time, Okako floated herself and hugged the weapon. Hero team wins. All Might announced. And I finished the game before it even started, and just as before, Bakugo's still lacking confidence. And he's lost. Child abuse. A sin with no excuses. The inflictor of the suffering must be perished at any cost. If denied the accusation, it's gonna make things worse. Acknowledge your mistakes and they're a way to afterlife, unless the tormentor is fine with eternal suffering of hell, where billions of sinners paying for what they did wrong. To a pickpocket to murder. Child abuse. Neglect. Rape. Every sin has a punishment at the pits of hell, and no mercy guaranteed. No matter what happens you at hell, you won't die. There are no escapees. Just suffering. Izuku felt that pain. Not of the ones at hell. No. He felt the blood of innocence everywhere, and one stood out the most. Dozens children and adults of various ages with nothing except their fate in common. Either they are shipped to those who needs a test subject, or those who need pets or playthings. And Izuku was in rage. After he freed them, no sinner will live up to live another tomorrow, and that's his final decision. Sinners must be eliminated. He'll make sure of that. Sinners will feel the suffering in the mortal realm before the eternal suffering of hell. The highway wasn't as crowded, and he rode the black chopper look-alike bike, attracting attention of many with its heavy and loud sound as he zoomed past them in his mortal form. Izuku knew better than to deal with the wannabe heroes if they see his hell formation. But his appearance is a dead giveaway that he ain't cared the slightest. If a fake hero happens to cross his way, he'll make sure they receive an extra VIP section of the pits of hell. Izuku had his hood covered his identity while on public and killed the sinners without much distraction, and people still have no idea who or what the vigilante they were talking about. They don't know how he looks like. And all they saw was a man riding an expensive bike, and that's it. However, he knew he cannot sneak around forever, but that won't falter him from doing his duty as the spirit of vengeance. Help with a smile on your face. And that line has to be modified. Save the innocent. Wiping away the smile of villainy, that's more like it. With barely some times later, Izuku pinpointed the location of the captives. And there's gonna be the sinners who'll suffer before he let them die. No instant deaths to those who laugh at the pain of others. Instant killing is an escape, until they fall in the pits of hell, where Punisher waiting for the new souls. The suffering is gonna haunt their reincarnation for the countless generations, only if they make it to the afterlife. At the rundown coast facility, the building was less suspicious with that abandoned lifeless look and destroyed exteriors. Was located farthest right of the city, near the docks. There were no civilization around that part of the beach, and the researchers who built the base claimed of the area being unmatched for their purpose and was left long time ago. At least the story was believable. No hero or villains can find the place unless they do have business with the current occupants of the building. There are no rumors, witnesses, proof of anything suspicious happening there, either. The said witnesses do not exist, or they gone silent. And that's why black marketing, auction, drug transportation, black money and all going smoothly for the Black Lotus. A highly secretive black spot of the criminal world that oversees the many continents and many bases around the world. No one but those who are as important knew of the existence of the said group. Many women, children, money and all disappeared without a trace. In different parts of Tokyo. No noticeable suspects. No common similarities. No patterns. No evidence. They vanished one day and never came back. Including a reporter who seeked high scoop for their newspaper. And people only knows he was just as unfortunate as the vanishing individuals. No information of the whereabouts of any of them, let alone evidences of the crime scene. Police gave up long ago, and Black Lotus are thankful. They won't tie up loose ends. Just straight up cut them out of picture. Including those who work for Black Lotus. Slit throats of nosy people and don't hold back even if it's your bloodline, a common rule. Reijin Kuraokamai, the third executive of the vast organization. He's the boss here. At Tokyo. While there are many of them scattered around the globe doing dirty work for their long-lost founder. Boss. We have a new deal. A grunt announced, coming in an old-looking office with rusty iron walls. Sadly though, the maintenance are limited due to the unstable structure of the building. Even if an excavator hit the wrong wall, the building is done for. But to mask in with false impression on a non-suspicious building, they cannot rebuild the base and expose the life in the building. Police will come, a headache and heroes pain in the ass, and then All Might. He is an unavoidable meteor if he accidentally blow a punch. So, having an old base has its own perks. The room had so many stuffs, contains drugs, experimental items and all. Reijin, the man himself, wearing all black suit, sat on the cushioned chair. Had black trimmed hair and goatee. Sunken brown eyes with glasses. He was smoking a cigar while playing games on his phone. He was in his middle ages. And his body is not muscular either. He looked up at his goon, who was as bored as the other occupants. He's a action-starved bastard just like the majority of others excluding Rajan. The boss only like having fun with their captives. He's a sicko. Spit it. Rajan spat. Still playing games. 2 crates for a quirk. The goon said. Quirk means they also have to give away their slaves in process. Well, that's what they are for. The man sighed. They wants that drug a fellow gang produced. So they are getting 2 crates of it for powerful quirk. As well as wielder of the quirk. Who's the messenger they sent? A bystander? No official member. The goon replied, knowing his boss' answer. Kill him. I'll contact them later. After all. The boss said, getting up, throwing his phone on the table with a smirk. We have to do a proper farewell for someone. Right. Yes. Boss. And can I fight and then kill the messenger? My muscles are stiff by playing around. The goon complained. I want him dead. That's all. Rajan said, walking out of the room to a hallway full of doors to each sides that either the rooms of the gang members or some empty storage. He drew a beeline straight at a room that's left to the hallway and had narrow pathway leading to a metal door. An amused, mischievous smirk appeared on his face when he felt the intense air behind that door. He can already see them crying and in pain. Their screams are a music in his ears and he enjoys it. Opening the door. There was a big room that connects to many cells with iron bars. The cells are attached to the wall and the cell are actually connected to one another with no barriers on the middle. And inside big wide cell was almost 70 or so people of different ages and powers. There were men to little boys and women to little girls. All of them wearing quirk nullifying cuffs on their legs, and their bodies are all bruised, beat up and wore torn bloodied clothes. By the appearance of them, one can say they are living because of miracle. They looks exhausted, starved and in pain. And some of them has tight shock collars around their neck, enough choke them to a state that a tiny bit of air their lungs get. Such a cruelty. These are the people who mysteriously vanished within last few months, maybe over a year, and they lost all their hopes of survival but will be happy if one day they could escape. Rajan laughed at the people gathered around close to one another due to support those who have weak heart. Hello there. Rajan greeted, smirking at them and then at a teenage girl who was he going to sell for the drugs. The girl heart skip a beat and she knew what's going to happen. And tears poured out her already puffy red eyes. She's a teen around 13 or so and had long blonde hair, which is now covered in grime and blood. Her black eyes look dead and her lips are busted slightly. Her fate is written. She thought that way. Her cellmate had the same fate waiting for them. That monster sold her friends way back the first month of their capture. And now it's her turn to go. Nobody knew where are they taken to, but knew that there no escape from it. It's more like fear of the unknown. Today one you is my key to achieve something I strongly craved for. And as you know how well we should say farewell to that certain someone. The man declared, earning many shocked gasps from the crowd behind the bars. I know that someone knows who am I referring to. The man said. The slaves started to worry about that. Even if they don't know each other for their life. Here in the cell they got familiar with one another over time. Having that ripped away from them do hurt to say the least. So Rajan heard many cries, complaints, curse, and was desperately trying their best to defend all the occupants as well as themselves. As my pets, I expect no denial. Like it or not, you are going. The man smirked at the girl and others looked at her worried. If you want them safe, come on out without all the ruckus. I do have some pretty good things so you won't forget any of us. The man ordered to the cowering girl, who complied eventually. She cared about them dearly to refuse to oblige. The teenager stood up weakly and pried away the comforting and desperate hands that was begging her to don't go. She pushed past the human barrier blocking her from the man. It's better this way. A good girl you are. I must treat you with an extra care and choose some best toys to make you never forget this day. Rajan said. Now come closer. He said, about to unlock the cell. She's going to somewhere away from them. Somewhere more hellish. More merciless. More unforgiving. More psychotropic. Is this her fate? Is God that much enjoy toying with the good and lovable people? Is there even a God? If there is, why not helping them? Come on, let's go. We have a long way. the man said in a sadistic voice, scaring her, and he was searching for the keys in his pocket, giving some time to cherish her moments with these kind innocent people. And she one last time called for God. With a small hope. Hope that will die down the second she gonna step out of the cell. Help us, God. And the call for help was replied with the building shaking slightly with a faint sound of an explosion. The man growled at that, and a goon burst through the door saying intruder or emergency. He looked afraid and in urgency as Rajan gave a one final look at the slaves and left the room with the goon. Did her prayer reach to God? Black Lotus. The vast organization of the reputation of cheap shot bastards rampaging the criminal world and took over some notable gangs as well as destroyed many of those who go against them. Those who has a major dirt on them. Never gonna see outside world, and many know it. The drug deal between some lower class is to both have a better usage of it as well as pinpoint how to produce it and then eliminate the true founders. Bury the knowledge of their existence with them. Black Lotus is no Black Lotus if they don't do such traitorous attempts. And that dearly influenced the goons as well. Killing to have fun, surely the main traits of the name Black Lotus. Some brainless fools going rouge and create a gap between villains and heroes by indirectly approaching with tempting offers. One that nobody in their right mind could refuse, and denial is a fuel to the goons who wants blood splatter around them. As the knowledge never seen outside world thanks to dead men who knew their secrets, and that's why their business going as smooth as butter unless Rajan got so lazy and refused some contracts once a while. He just want money. Many of greedy individuals joined Black Lotus because of their paycheck. Loyals gets meat. A policy and you are safe inside that zone. And now at the entrance of the building, which is closed with big rusty white gates, and many goons of both gender chatted or playing games with their friends. To keep their existence a secret. They were inside the room that leads to the gate. So nobody can see them outside of their base guarding it. That's gonna be a dead giveaway. All of them wore black outfits. Catsuit for ladies and normal suits for guys. They do have guns and some familiar weapons of their choosing. But they are mainly using guns. They aren't as trained with close-range weapons. Only their boss right-hand man is the master of various fighting skills and weaponry. And he was present with them too. Sure, they have quirks. But they don't like the shitty drawbacks, so they depending on the weapons and support items. Mainly weapons. And those who comes has to knock on the metal gate and then say a password. They will know if some frauds decides to enter. They have a unique way of knocking on the door with some rhythm or stoppage, and then comes the verbal password. Until whoever that outside proves they are no threat. The goons had to make no sound. Can't risk some wannabe know someone in there. Rajan wasn't as smart, but the freak is strong and sometimes come up with plans to stay safe. Until now they tricked many fools, where heroes and villains included. And knew better than to give away some information to some random nobody. They still craved to get paid after all. The room filled with hushed sounds of the goons. Many laughing. Chatting, and also the noises of their phones. Most of them are game addicts. Just it was natural for them to addicted on something that can help them pass time. Withstanding and guarding the place 24 hours is not as great as it sounds. Many of them got sick of waiting, and they are allowed to use whatever they want. And then they got silenced by the familiar sound of the knock on the gate as the goons silenced themselves to concentrate on the knocking. 2 knocks. Stop. 1 knock. Stop, and 5 knocks. Courier, came a gruff voice, and sure did, that's the confirmation passcode. Simple, yet the way you say. The way you knock matters too, and they looked at each other for their approval, and each of them nodded. Cage. The right-hand man nodded at one of the goons, and the goon pushed open the gates. And they all picked up their guns and rifles pointed at the entrance. Some with barrier. Shield. Hardening quirks ready, they quirks. One wrong step. The man outside will sure have his ass in the grave. When the gates opened, they saw a skinny bald man who wore oversized dirty smelly clothes. A blue jeans and a prison uniform white shirt. Sure, this dude here is simply a messenger. No official member of the gang who sent him. Yo. No threat. Stop pointing guns at me. The man said with a sound that belongs to some lazy, sleepy man. But the man was wide awake and felt threatened by these goons. The 7 women in the group ginned, and remaining 12 dudes laughed at the man. Who was intimidated. Cage just snorted and said, "Do you see yourself in a mirror? Should we feel threatened by some random like you?" He chuckled dangerously as he moved closer to the skinny shaking man. The man shook his head no. These freaks can squash him and nobody won't hear him scream. I know, the man stuttered, annoying Cage even more. Cage sighed and held back. They want something important. So they have to hear this roach out. So. What you got? Cage asked. The man blinked and then thought about why and what for is he here. All the information gone through the window when the goons antagonized him. The man said the offer is to give them a quirk. In return they'll get 2 crates of the yet-to-be marketed drugs. 2 full crates? That's the golden fish. Cage gone back through an open wide hallway to rage and probably to inform the new deal. While he's gone, the skinny man received some glares that offered nothing but pain. Black Lotus. After all, have red blood on their hands after every deal. Knowing that many gang leaders send some local criminals or the ones escaped prison. The skinny man belonged in the second category. Black Lotus members were talking around him, intentionally adding some threatening messages that the skinny man picked up the most. He was sweating and his heart pounded when they got a call. Cage informed them what boss' decision is. To kill the man. Cage was on the way and the goons had this sick smirk on their faces. Many started rub or crack their knuckles for the fun about to start. The goons rounded the man, cornering him because the entrance gate is closed shut the moment got in there. They were getting closer and closer, still grinning wide, seeing a terrified man. Until, "Hey, you had that?" one of them asked, and others silenced themselves. Faint quake could be felt under their feet. And they heard something loud outside gate, getting louder with faint tremors. By each second. As if something huge is coming. That something was big and powerful. With the sound of some modified engine as well as the small tremors gotten bigger and clear. It was fast to say the least. Because of how quickly sound and the vibrations increasing. Something massive is approaching, and everyone including the skinny man backed away from the gate, and the goons both activated their quirk and pointed their guns at the entrance. They could feel their eardrum beating just like their quickening heart. The shaking of the ground increased and they could feel their body shaking with the vibration. Is it friendly? Is some gang coming for a deal? The possibilities are high. But one important detail. Nobody except few people know of the location. And that few people is 6 feet under the ground now. Then what is coming? Who give their address? Are they even know whose base it belongs to? Hundreds of unanswerable questions evaded their mind as the uneasy feeling of something getting high and high. Stay back. One of the males said, and everyone backed away, but they kicked the skinny man towards the entrance. Cage won't mind who dies. He only mind 2 things. Action and money. And they have this feeling that whatever is beyond that gate is worth some big action. And they are not prepared even the lightest. Right now the threat is outside, coming closer, and they could feel their hair on the neck standing as the engine sound got louder. It was unlike any sound they are familiar with. It has this echo and heavy and loud sound that is impossible to mimic. It was oddly creeping them out. Like monster that's only can spotted in horror novels and movies. The sound itself is threatening. What's happening? One of the women shouted, and others are just as startled and uneasy. And little did they know that's gonna be their last interactions. The sound and the heavy something got closer, and then. Beboom. The iron gate melted and destroyed as that something extremely burning green and big hit and came right through it, sending shockwaves and iron pieces flying around with bomb-like blast as the goons got sent flying with the shockwave, and the skinny man was unlucky as the green fire something ran over him and stopped on the middle of the room, skidding and damaging the floor. Melting the floor as if it's nothing. Everyone except the skinny man was in daze but alive. The current occupants guarding the gate was heavily damaged but breathing, luckily, for now. That is. Few minutes earlier, Deku stood tall on a hill that connects to an old parking lot and the road between Main Road and the coast facility. His hood was down, and with his enhanced senses his emerald glowing eyes picked up what's happening at his destination. He could barely see the building but enough to make up what's going on there. Some tall iron gate guarding an already old and weak building. He felt the rage bubbling in his veins. He could feel the arrogance, amusement, joy of the tormentors in that run-down building. His jaw visibly clenched, eyes narrowed with the hellfire glowing in his eyes. Some black smoke barely rising up from his shoulders, indicating the anger he's feeling towards the inflictors of pain. Tormentors doesn't know what pain is. The pain of what the weak one feels, and the captives in that building is an example. The grief, sorrow, pain, helplessness, Emptiness and the lost hope. Lost hope is something identical to suicide. Because feeling that comes with the lost hope is unbearable mental pain. Many foreign emotions. Self-hurtful demons. Self-loath and hate. And the thoughts of non-existent. The emotions is the unbearable that your mind cannot keep up, and you'll turn into a shell of human that's walking with no purpose other than dealing with your inner battles where your winning rate is 0. Deku knew that. He was one of them when he was alive. Bullied. Abused. Belittled and hurted by the tormentors to the extent of self-hate and emptying the life out of your body. He suffered and knew nobody should be treated like that. Nobody should feel that pain. The burden to the world. Everyone should be free. Happy and unharmed. Both physically and mentally. But not those who seek satisfaction and entertainment of hurting innocent. They are the sinners. Sinners inflict pain but cannot tolerate. Sinners are cowards and they hurt the weak because of they can't beat the one that's equal to them. Sinners do have dark past, but forcing that burden and pain on someone that's not the one harmed you. Sinners consume negativity and blame the faults on the innocents. Sinners must be perished. Really. Really. Painfully. Pain of their comfort zone and the world they built crumbling down with their pride. Pain of a razor inch by inch cutting and slicing each muscles. Veins. Limbs. Heart. Brain. Without killing them and let them rot like that under the scorching sun. Deku will hurt them. Let them suffer. Scream for forgiveness and mercy. But, in the end, the walking hell he is won't give them relief. There are no mercy in the pit of hell. Only the punishments that can make you cry and scream. That many universes to hear and fear for their lives and choose the path of good. Now. Here. Deku is the executioner. The law. The punisher. The God to decide. He'll decide how gruesome and sickening a sinner's death would be. And he chooses for them is slow painful death. The one that make the see their faults. The one that will show them the hell before they go to hell. The one their many incarnations remember. And Deku saw a minute ago a man going inside the building. It was barely noticeable, but nothing escapes the death. And Izuku smirked. With that smirk he'll ruin them. He'll wipe away the black spot of the world. And he saw how the building is, and he looked towards a parking lot where he saw is something big, old and rusty, and he knew what to do. And he'll do it. To kill them painfully slowly, he summoned something that could cut in his right arm, and that something was terrifyingly beautiful. Deku gave the facility one last look and then opened green fire circle under his hell cycle. And the black ride slowly sank inside the portal and disappeared as well as portal. Deku then with his new weapon in hand walked towards the parking lot, and his body started to heat up and black smoke emitted and merged with the air as he walked to his new ride. They won't know the hell is coming to get them. Present time. The entrance totally is small crumbles, and the where the big ride is stopped started to melt with such a heat that the goons started sweat heavily. And the front part of the base that connects to the entrance crumbled down and is now just black tiny pieces on the group. They groggily stood up and saw something that's outworldly. They saw the big ride. An old truck that looks charred, and its wheels, headlight and engine are enveloped with emerald breathtaking and extremely hot fire, giving it a hellish appearance. Something out of a nightmare that everyone's scared of. The presence of the big ride alone is promising nothing but agony. Black Lotus goons felt that fear creeping in their spine, and some backed away, not daring to move closer to it. It's no regular. It's something that of an unexplainable. And they shakily got a hold of their guns, and they had to say they started to shoot at the vehicle and the darkening windshield were the driver seats. But they couldn't see the driver in it. Except for a green glow. It was instincts telling them to fire and their gut telling them to run. And all of them, both women and men, shot at the truck, which was motionless except for the terrifying loud sounds of its engine. With their experience to destroy vehicle pursuers, they knew to aim for the fuel tank. But here, the problem is, the old truck is already on fire. No matter where they aim, no single scratch can be seen on the truck aside from its already burnt look. Not even the windshield breaking. Heat's supposed to weaken the glass, right? But no. It's unbreakable. Some heavy guns aren't enough? That's not possible, right? As they fired their guns on of them with sand, Quirk launched some at the fiery part of the truck, but no avail. And it's safe to say, it's not an ordinary truck someone put on fire. They're seeing something else. Eventually stopped firing as one of them ran inside to alert other goons on the different part of the building. And then the door of the truck opened in an instant, making them point their gun at it. When the driver gets out of that truck that is made of some bullshit they cannot figure. They then slowly got in their positions. Some behind the rubble of the destroyed entrance and others positions themselves blocking the hallway to the inside and waited for whoever to come out of that truck. And then the roof of the truck crumbled away in green and black crumbles and a hand emerged from the top holding on the frame of the windshield and a Ghost Rider jumped out to stand on the hood of the truck with a weapon that's as nightmarish as the truck, and then they saw the figure himself. His metal boot underside made a loud sound as he landed. The Ghost Rider calmly stood on the hood with zero motion and eyed them. The goons felt a surge of fear creeping and hiding their souls behind the deepest part of their minds, and their body paled and froze on the spot. The fear they felt, or whatever emotions they felt seeing the spirit of the vengeance, is unexplainable. Their breathing hitched and their face was void of any expression except for the visible fear plastered, and cold sweat formed each and every one of their body, and the women started back away along with some men. They never expected this. A burning skeleton. A walking and alive one. Ghost Rider tilted his head sideways slowly and spun his weapon in his hand. The nightmarish weapon Ghost Rider now has is a scythe, with black charred long handle and emerald green lava blade. That dripping lava around as he spin it. A weapon for a perfect cut indeed. The goons shakily pointed their gun and started to shoot at the skeleton, who in return jumped off the truck and with a speed that can fool your eyes attacked them by swinging the scythe, not even giving them any opportunities, and cut clean off their legs and hand of whoever is in attacking range. The goons helplessly fired their gun, but the Ghost Rider isn't affected by it. The bullet gone right through the rider, and they even tried to fire his skull but no avail. Ghost Rider cut their hands and legs, and the goons who lost their limbs screamed in agony and with the power of the hell flame. The blood started to stop flowing out of their limbless body with power of heat, so they won't die, and with pain they won't pass out anytime soon. Hellfire keeps the one who being punished alive and awake when the eternal suffering starts. With act of will. Rider did the same. They won't until he wants them to. Ghost Rider attacked all of them one by one with the same method. To keep them alive. He did the same with both women and men. A goon who had quirk cancellation ability and fired his gun as well as activated his quirks as Ghost Rider crippled his friends. Wasn't working. The Ghost Rider is still in the hell form. The fire scythe cutting clean their limbs, and the Ghost Rider motioned its hand the goon way. As the chain covered by sharp blades shoot out and wrapped around his legs, and with a strong tug the goon leg crumbled into ashes, causing a pained scream out of his mouth, and Ghost Rider came to his and stomped his right hand, which crumbled into ashes, as well as his other hand soon followed. Ghost Rider did this to the remaining couple of goons by whipping their legs with the spiky chains, destroying their legs and cut off their arms as well. Ignoring all the cries, Ghost Rider headed to the hallway, but then something touched his boots. Looking down, he saw a rifle. The matte black firearm belonged to one of the goons, but not anymore. Retracting the chains, Ghost Rider picked it up, and the weapon instantly caught on fire, burning it and gave it an appearance as same like any other weapon Ghost Rider possess. The hallways echoed as his metal boot footsteps moved further inside the building slowly, and not bothered by the creepy scene of this dark hallways that alight with some small bulbs here and there. Ghost Rider doesn't give damn how the hallway looks. He's even creepier than it. The Ghost Rider moved forward holding scythe on his right and the rifle on the left. Soon enough something came and sticked around his leg, which made him stop. Slowly looking down, he saw something toxic green sticking his legs on the floor, and then a boomerang came connecting with his chest and flew back to a woman. Goonwo came out of one of many doors on the sides along with bunch of others. All of them look scared, but they really are trying to hide it. Finish it, she said, pointing her gun, as well as others did the same. They fired again, and Ghost Rider pointed his gun and fired only once. Instead of a small bullet, a green fireball came out of the gun, and when it hit the target, boom! The fireball hit the ground below a few feet away from them, sending all 5 of them on the floor, enough to cause them to fall. They did fell. Not before they flew few feet away, and Ghost Rider turned the heat of his body, and the sticky thing solidified first and then crumbled away. 2 goons already lost their legs due to being close, and they were as wide awake crying in intense pain that they never felt before. And the 3 other goons got scared and about to get up and run. Few hellfire spike chains erupted from the ground and wrapped around their limbs. Unlike before, this time the chains ripped apart their limbs after burning with hellfire. They will die. But not now. The suffering is about to begin. The second Ghost Rider free the innocents. Tormentors feel the pain of eternity. From now on this his rule. The scream left their mouth, echoed the dim hallways, and Ghost Rider moved forward, giving away his location by the metal click of his boots, and he could sense no sinners are inside the rooms on either sides. But he could sense them gathered in front in the big hall. And by the looks of it, there are so many of them, and he'll destroy each and every one of them. There's no escape. Ghost Rider slowly reached the big hall, and as predicted, many quirks and bullets shot at him, and he started his attack too, moving fast before they know it, swinging the Hellfire scythe in circular motion, aiming for the limbs, and then repeatedly shot fire bullet from the rifle aiming for the ground below that took out multiple goons at once. With each swing the scythe let out molten green lava as well as cutting legs and hands, but then there were two goons with quirk that they think is effective against the Ghost Rider. When Ghost Rider immobilized many goons fast without letting them respond and was going for the rest, they shot heavy shot off water and mudwater, much others' relief. Water is powerful compared to fire. At least they thought. When they ceased their attacks, there was no fire. Just a burnt skeleton. Without a sign of movements. Both Ghost Rider's weapons lost the glow, and the goons stared at Ghost Rider for a second and their eyes widened. It's an actual skeleton. No transformation quirk. No illusion. Just an actual skeleton. They stared at the Ghost Rider and then erupt into cheers. They finally defeated this whatever is it, and boy, how wrong were they. They didn't know Ghost Rider actually staring at them. And then a powerful shockwave along with intense heat halted them from further celebration, and the green light got brighter than before, and before they could understand what happened, the floor began to turn green as the hellfire lava spread around the room where unfortunately each and every goons were standing, and that's. Next they could hear their own agonized scream when their legs started sink in slowly. The temperature is high, but Ghost Rider made sure not turn their body into crisps. They thrashed. Tried to push themselves out of it using their hands, only to lose them in process. The entire base could hear their cries, including the innocents. The cry was loud and pained, and if you hear it, you can hear the pain they're going through. When their legs are all the way sank and destroyed. Ghost Rider made the lava solidify and cool down in an instant, but the cry of the occupants in the room never ceased. To make it quick, spiked fire chains came out of the ground, incinerating their hands, and vanished, leaving awake and alive bodies of the limbless to cry out their misery. Like before, Ghost Rider moved forward to the last and final stop. With all the goon immobilized so quickly, there's only boss and. Well, Cage stood on the way towards the office of their leader. I was getting rusty sitting around. About time I got some challenge. Cage arrogantly stated, but failed to hide his fear seeing the Ghost Rider. Never in their life they see something came out of hell. Something strong and dangerous like Ghost Rider. And his appearance is enough to wet their pants, and seeing the Ghost Rider in front of you everything but pleasant. Ghost Rider stopped and watched Creepula doing the head tilt as Cage prepare himself for his quirk. Heavy air, a quirk to add pressure on the air that's around his foes or object, and he tried that here. Immediately adding the pressure around Ghost Rider to squeeze him between it. It works like water pressure but with air. Ghost Rider did only one thing. With some more of his endless strength, swing the scythe so hard that the air around us started to get hot, and the force behind the swing created force that both melted and pushed away everything with the shockwave it produced, and Cage lost all his momentum and balance, and before he could fell down. A powerful glove hand grabbed his face and lifted Cage in the air. Ghost Rider left hand that held the gun now strongly clawed onto Cage face, slightly melting his face in the process. Cage tried to kick and scratch Ghost Rider, ending up accidentally touching Rider fiery skull, and his hand crumbled into black ashes, earning a muffled scream due to Rider hand basically covering his face. Tilting his head slowly side to side, Ghost Rider grabbed Cage's other arm into a vice and ripped it off of his body with so much blood splattering. Then Rider done the same to his legs before tossing Cage aside like he's potato sack and headed to Ragin. On the way, Ghost Rider looked to a narrow pathway that leads to the captives but moved straight towards Ragin office. Not far, and Ghost Rider already in front of the door burst it open with a simple, and there he saw the man himself. The leader of all crimes. The cause for the pain that hurt and sold those helpless people for his own little profit. To swim in the pool of money. For some filthy money. Ragin saw this and started panic as he activated his quirk that helps him to solidify air, and solidified the air on top of Ghost Rider and crashing it on top of the fire skeleton, only to see the solidified air shatter into tiny pieces before turn back to its normal form. Back away. The man shouted using his quirk again and again, but it has the same effect. Who are you? Why are you attacking us? The man practically begged, and Ghost Rider made fire chains to grab his legs and drag him closer. And when Raijin got closer, Ghost Rider stomps both his leg, crushing his legs and then making them crumble away with incinerating them, earning the same reaction he got from others. Raijin cried, screamed, cursed with all the pain, and Ghost Rider picked up Raijin by holding both the man's hands high and then kicked on his chest with some force so his body flew away, his severed hands on Ghost Rider. Deku reverted back into his mortal form and chuckled at the sight. Behold him. The grown-up man was crying. Cause his both hand and legs are now gone, and whose fault is that? Not Deku. Not the poor people in the cell. Not heroes or villains. Not even his goon. It's Raijin's fault. He's in pain. Because he tormented, killed, took away the lives of the innocents while they could only helplessly watch and cry. It's his fault that he's suffering. Suffering because he made others suffer. His own fault. Deku moved closer and crouched next to the man and laughed at his face. How does it feels like now? Are you enjoying it? Like when you did before, the man continues to cry, and Deku continues. When you hurt those people in the cell, they did beg to stop. Right? When you sold their loved ones to get money, they cried the same way, right? Now how is it feels like? Being in pain. Helpless. Deku asked, slowly, sending shivers down the spine of the crying man. The man got cut off when Izuku clawed his mouth and forced it open. You don't deserve mercy. Don't deserve to beg for mercy. So you won't talk? Izuku spat, opening the man's mouth wide, and got a hold of his tongue, ever again. Izuku finished his sentence, and with hellfire he turned the man's tongue nothing but some black ashes. The man was crying, but no sounds came out because of the worst pain a person that ever felt. He already saw the hell and writhed on the ground. Ring ring. Izuku saw Raijin phone ringing on the ground and smirked at the limbless man and picked it up. So, what's your say on the offer? Mr. Raijin. Is it a deal or you aren't interested? Came feminine voice, and Izuku looked at the sobbing man and chuckled. I don't think he's in the mood now, Izuku playfully said, and at other end was a silence and then a shout. Who are you? Where's Raijin? The female almost yelled. Who am I is not important. But I can say. You'll meet Mr. Raijin very very soon. With that, Izuku crouched next to the man and placed the phone on the ground close to the man and sneered. Ask for help if you can. Leaving the man behind, Izuku left the room with his scythe in hand and stopped walking. There are bodies of the Black Lotus goons everywhere, and knew he had to hide the due to the children he's about free could not watching without trauma and go crazy. And he summoned many chains and then walked towards the room where the people are held. People in the cell was sad because this teenager is about to send away for money or whatever, and they knew the action outside will end and they'll take her away. But we're hoping the heroes found them and could beat these cruel psychopaths and save them from this hellhole. But they kept their hopes low. When it can't be fulfilled, there will be a weight in their hearts that's sickeningly painful. Their sanity losing either way, and now only thing they could feel is hope. The sounds outside is like someone fighting, and they told each other that heroes are here or they are fighting villains. That happened once. They were excited to leave the place, but later found out it was nothing but some misunderstanding between two gangs. They all held little children close. If it's fight like they suspected, they are not safe even in the cell. They sat there with some hope, but now there's no sound of fighting anymore. If heroes are here, they would be here right now. They don't want to think the heroes dying at the mission to save them. But do they even know they are here? That they are held against their will? And then they heard the metal clashing the concrete as if its footsteps, and the door got kicked open out of its hinges, making them visibly flinch, and they all trembled in fear. Being tortured does that to you. And when they looked at the dim narrow pathway connect to the door, they saw a shadowy figure and two glowing green beautiful and intimidating eyes and the green hellfire scythe the figure holding, and they felt somewhat relief. Why? That man looks scary. Yet they felt a bit relieved when the figure came through the door frame inside the lit room, exposing his appearance. Black outfit, white hair, green fiery eyes, and a great build and the scary looking weapon. The boy came closer to the cell wearing a reassuring smile that seemed so foreign to them. But they saw sadness in the boy's eye and they simply touched the cell bar and their eyes widened as they saw the metal bars melting into liquid with some seconds and solidified as they touched the floor and the boy looked at them and smiled again. Ready to go home? The boy asked and they felt their heart stop. They can't believe it. They followed the stranger who carried one of the little kids and they saw black ashes and weird creepy noises when they were going through the hallways. They don't know. All the goons was in all the rooms on each the sides and they don't even know who's their savior is. They never seen a hero like him. The boy keep them smiling time to time and yet they don't know his name. What's that spooky sounds? Big brother. The small kid in Izuku's arm whose mother is a bit weak to carry so he gladly did it as then they saw his weapon that provided light vanished from his hands as they see the exit. Izuku chuckled. How to say this? You see it's not that important. It's probably the vent or something. Taking about spooky. When I gone for camping back in the day and me and my sister told stories that's spooky but fun. You should try sometimes. That was his answer. Can't just blurt out there are people in there crying because they lost their hands and legs to a child. But the adults knew what the was but didn't know what kind of state the goons are in. Are you a hero? Who are you? I never saw you before. The teen girl asked and Izuku looks at them over his shoulders showing his glowing eyes and smiled. What you guys think about me? Am I a hero? What's your opinion? He asked making others speechless but the girl shrugged. Call me whatever you like. It's not that important. Izuku said leading them out through the hole his truck made which is now outside of the building in its normal form. All the people teared up seeing outside world and they were so happy that they hugged each other thanked Izuku who smiled and lead them and stopped at a safe distance from building and Izuku turned around and soon others saw green fire slowly catching up the old building in green fire and their jaw dropped at the sight. Slow painful death to the inflictors of the pain. All the limbless villains gonna die slowly and can't even move when fire slowly kills them. There is no escape. Only suffering. No reminders of all the pain. Izuku said ushering them to move forward. Adults knew someone was dying in there but hid their face so children won't know. This is the beginning of hell for the Black Lotus. Izumi's POV. Well, this happened. Me and my classmates eyed up and down the building in front of us which resembles the look of Udata main campus but different in color and materials. The building is shaped like Big H just like the school but smaller and has a vintage look consists of all brick-like appearance unlike our glass-themed school. The yard is full of varieties of plants and a small pond to the side. Probably just for show or there is fish in it. I don't know maybe it's just there. But we shouldn't be here yet. I mean Mr. Izawa said a week after. But it's just only 2 days and the special class that's supposed to be today got kicked out of the window. I don't know what. But I received a message yesterday from principal. Informing me and asked me to pack all my belongings and a pickup truck brought all my things here already. Well. Things gone worse and mama was so sad of me leaving too soon but we had no other choice. I thought and looked around seeing the identical building like ours are built around the school and I saw all the students waiting outside of their own dormitories. And by the looks of it, they don't care what their homeroom teacher is bragging. Neither do I but no choice other than listen out Mr. Izawa. And I regret even looking at the man. He looks worse than usual. More sleepy. And his voice was barely audible but we paid attention anyways. With all that's going on. Make sure stay inside the dorms or ask for permission before you do anything or go outside. These are rules. Not mine. I hope I made myself clear. Mr. Izawa sleepily grumbled and half of the rules didn't really catch my ears except for the last 2 lines but I nodded without knowing why am I nodding. Others are nodding so I'm nodding. Simple right? After all. Seeing how worn out our teacher looks. I don't think he'll appreciate to repeat his words. Sir. What about our special class you told us about? Momo asked raising her hand. Mr. Izawa looked dazed at first but he regained his composure. Special class supposed to end today. Now I don't think there gonna be one. Maybe some training exercises may be expected within a week. Now go find your room. Weather today is gloomy. He said yawning and I looked up at the sky. Sure enough. Dark clouds blocked any lights of the sun and it's about to pour down for sure. And I'm strange. 'Cause I adore a rainy season. Especially if it's raining while morning or at night when I go to bed. Well that's who I am. I love things weirder than weird things. Ami. Are you listening to what sensei said? Okako chuckled facing me and I snapped out of all the thoughts realizing that we're the only one outside. Oh sorry. Just was wondering. I sheepishly said making her giggle and grabbed me by my hand and led me to our new dorms. The timing was perfect. The moment we opened the door, rain poured heavily and I instantly wanted to jump outside and dance but I kept standards. I cannot fully reveal my all goofy and carefree side. Not like it's wrong. But the thing is I'm a freak escaped a mental asylum when I'm doing the said goofy and carefree stuff. So I heard my best friend and entered the dorms immediately taking in the sight unfolds before us. We were facing the living room that's as big as our classroom and everyone checking out the red big couches and Mineta and Kaminari were installing their game system on the big wide TV screen that faced the couch and I saw the stairs to the right of the big living room leading upstairs and the elevator just besides it. TV. Elevator. Kitchen. I done touring and I don't care how other rooms looks like so I turned to Yuri who's still holding my hand. We're best friends in crime within a week so we consider spending time together. We yet to go for a big shopping spree but some vigilante ruined our freedom since that god-forsaken explosion. I hate this house arrest crap. I always well. Someone that does something all the times. Roaming around the city is one of them. Granted it's for our sake. But they don't know if this vigilante is some good guy or a villain. If there is really one. They simply jumped into conclusions. I'm going to check my room. Bye. I said heading straight for the elevator. I always chooses what's good for health. What already? Yuri complained and I shrugged. I heard my floor is the fourth and top one and third room. So I did that. Standing alone in an elevator gave me time to think of something. Something really important. And my eyes widen in realization. How could I forgot it already? The rest of the first day of them living in the dorms spent by arranging stuff and unpacking their belongings. All of them were as exhausted like ran a marathon even after taking a quick shower. Sato and Aoyama who were preparing dinner for all 20 of them and the boys were already downstairs watching TV sitting on the impossibly fluffy couch that Kaminari claimed to be heavenly. And then they heard a ding of the elevator as the girls poured in just like the rain outside. Why? Because they were loud like continuous raindrops without a stop. However, one of them were missing which Yura noticed first. Have you guys seen Ami? She spoke out loud silencing everyone. I thought she's with you Eureka. Itza comments standing up steadily and walked towards the girls like a robot. I wonder what's taking her too long. We can't be up until it hit curfew. A student must follow the rules teachers told them to do. He reminded them chopping the air making others sweat drop. Momo checked her watch and looked at them. Don't worry. Curfew is in 2 hours. Let her do her work. Maybe she's on the way now. Momo said. Bakugo sat on the couch hearing them but still looking at the TV screen which playing an action movie. He doesn't give a fuck what the extras think. He wanted to concentrate on the movie but they kept talking and talking. Will you extras shut your ass up? I'm watching a movie here. He shouted making them silent. Baku bro. Don't get angry all of a sudden. Ami is our friend. Right? We were Kiri's hima cut off when he saw Bakugo angered face paling when he was still looking at the TV. Out of irritation Bakugo was changing the channels. But his eyes soon fell on the date under one news channel. Bakugo mad demeanor quickly changed to that of realization. Guilt and concern. Others noticed that too. They in their a week of friendship. Never saw Bakugo like this. That made them curious slowly forgetting about Ami. You okay? Kiri's hima asked and Bakugo, flinched. Visibly flinched. That unlike of the very Bakugo they know. And seeing him flinched made them look at him closely. He was sweating and aimlessly looked around and his red eyes landed on Kiri's hima. What? Bakugo stuttered. Are you feeling ill Bakugo? Should I inform Mr. Izawa or recovery girl? Itza suggested adjusting his glasses but was concerned about their angry but now sad-looking classmate. The question was enough to snap him out of his upset trance and quickly faked his usual behavior and scoffed at them and turned back to changing channels and stopping again. He stopped and fixated his eyes on a news channel that was showing with title Kidnapped Citizen Found and the Coast Facility Disaster and showed some clip of a burnt half-melt and destroyed facility and some picture of the kidnapped people on the hospital ward. The coast facility abandoned back in 1998. Yesterday destroyed in fire, and the people that went missing in past few months miraculously survived. The reports claim that an unknown individual who police suspect is the vigilante who behind the murderers of many people. Saved the kidnapped citizens. Murdering the gang known as Black Lotus. The same gang who kidnapped the people. According to the remains. Police said the bodies were dismembered and crippled beforehand burning down the building including them. They also confirming the vigilante presence by the same ashes found throughout the every part of the building. Now the families of those who went missing now finally at the hospital besides their now safe family member. Black Lotus however treated them as tools. Many people got sold for drugs and money. Few of the victims said this. Police now reopened the cases and promises an extended search, and many officers around Japan is ready to support the police. With hope of finding the others, we can only wait for another update. The room was silent and watched in horror as many pictures of censored limbless burnt corpse. Burnt and melt coast facility. Now free victims of the mysterious kidnappings and many officers. Heroes on at the crime scene. Including present Mike and Izawa. That's something that cannot be seen all day. At least I'm thankful for those people was saved. I don't know how to feel about the rest. Kirishima said, and everybody agreed. You guys think if the vigilante is some sort of firebender or something? Jiro asked, and others shrugged. Who knows? Bakugo again was staring at the date on the TV. Just then they heard the elevator door ding and open to reveal a freshly showered Izumi. But her eyes and face were red. Like she was crying. Izumi. Hey. What's wrong? Are you crying? Yura and Ashido with Tsu and Toru immediately on Izumi's side, concern written all over their face. Izumi faked a smile and shook her head. I'm fine. She said, but everyone noticed how she sent hateful look to Bakugo, who in return turned away to look at the TV. I'm fine guys. Just feeling a bit tired. Izumi lied and gave one more smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. You sure? Mina asked. We should let her calm down. Kuro. Tsu said, and others hesitantly nodded. Feel free to come and talk to me if something bothering you. Okay. Yura said, and Izumi nodded. I'll try. She replied. Hey, you can open up your worries with any of us. We are friends after all. Momo said, coming to her side with a smile. Sure, they didn't talk to each other since the beginning, but they always acknowledge each other, and Momo is nice girl even after being the richest out of them. She's too kind, and Izumi respects and like people like that. Well, she like all the people that doesn't hurt her feelings or hurt her physically. That's why Bakugo is always in the gray zone for her. Thank you guys, you are the best. Izumi genuinely said. These guys are different from the wannabe assholes back in the middle school. There was only one person gave her company, and now that person don't exist anymore. She met these people. Everyone here is wanted friends and making friends, and within a week of time they started to care about each other. You are best too. Kuro. Tsu said, making her smile. Her worries about tomorrow lessened, and by the look of Bakugo face Izumi was sure he too realized what day is tomorrow, and she saw guilt in his red eyes. Dinner is ready guys. Sato called them. Rain poured down powerfully, indicating the wrath of the god, towards the sinner. Well. That's how it seems. The alleyway got darker even more, and the already waste-filled disgusting street pathways is become more disgusting as the waste got splattered like a second layer of the mud, and aside from that the noticeable part is ear-splitting scream that echoed. The scream was pained and high. Like a person screaming due to their bones breaking, but the scream proved that the person was screaming was in more pain than that. The echoing scream lasted a minute before it died down. The screaming person must have felt the worst pain in their life. Sure they did. Izuku looked straight into the two charred black eyes with green cracks that lighting the eyes, and he was holding the owner of the said eyes pressing against the wall, and shook his head. You should have been a good guy. He thought, impressed by the now comatose man quirk. Nothing fancy, but being once quirkless. Every quirk has some value in his eyes. Sad the man choose the wrong path. Maybe he should have made a good hero. Izuku dropped the body and turned around to face his already waiting hell cycle and straddles it. His hood was up due to the heavily pouring rain and rode out of the streets. By now he hunted down countless of sinners, yet there are many alive that cannot be killed with a year. That quantity is enough to prove humanity is rare occurrence, but he knew there are some lives with pure heart that is fragile and weak but still holding up to the cruelty of the world. his bike faster, and Izuku enjoyed riding it, but one thing is in his mind. The importance of the day tomorrow. Knowing his family. He's sure tomorrow is both happy and sad for them. Mostly sad. And he know what they will do tomorrow about it? What Izumi do? What his mother do? Sure, thinking of them is really emotional for him, but he cannot cry. Not because he's the writer. No. He's not sad because he knows they are safe. The feeling in him says they fine. And he's happy to hear that. But he feels bad because they are crying because of him. And that's why tomorrow is a hard day for them. Izuku rode his bike through the rain, passing by many strangers and cars, and all of them committed little mistakes. They are no sinners. They had the reasons for what they did. Once he passed by a small road. He saw something from corner of his eyes. And he smiled, slowing down his hell cycle, and looked clearly at the scene, and his smile grew wider and brighter. Even in the darkening sky. This is perfect. The building he's facing. Surrounded by the swamp-like vegetation, probably due to the lack of occupants. Truth to be told. In there is nobody except for God. The place was in the middle of all the muddy ground, and here and there can be seen the green moss and green vibrant vines that all around the trees, the ground, and also the building, which itself as old as a generation. The brick walls were hidden under some layer of the green vines and mosses, decorating it in a way that can help add more natural beauty. If you are okay with doing that to a normal house. But this building is no house. The compound guarded by already destroyed iron grill around, and the gate was wide open, and only one part is standing still. While the other, over time, got weak and is now multiple parts in the muddy and green ground. The path through the gate to the entrance of the building has rubble pathway that slightly sank under the mud. But can spot if look closer. Izuku didn't felt bothered by the appearance. He can feel the warmth inside the building, indicating there no part exposing the interior to the outside world. Which means it's free of water and other vegetation. A good place indeed. And he decided something in his mind and shifted the gear towards the building and entered through the gates, and because of the ability to travel on everything. His hell cycle isn't bothered by all the mud that could slow a vehicle down. Either way. The rubble path could help any vehicle, so Izuku chose it. Slowly pulling over at the entrance, he looked up at the big doors of the building and then at the concrete carvings of some letters on the top of it. His smile widened in amusement with the whole irony. The moss-covered word carving says 1995 St. Mary's Church. A holy religious place where believed to be gods inside. But though, why is it out of life? Nobody won't know. Izuku chuckled at the same thought that he thought before and got off of the bike, standing outside an old church in the heavy rain, and with a smile he stepped closer to the church entrance stairs, and with a chuckle he placed his first step on the stairs. And finally pushed open the door, and he seems to waiting for something and chuckled again. The thoughts making his feel amused is simple. The demon rider is now gonna stay where God lives. Like they say. No devil could be step foot in the holy place, no matter the strength the demon possess. But now there's no bounds. No stoppage. No anything. They forgot to mention the fallen angels are the gods too. The rider is beyond their belief. The punisher of the sinners. And he is the fallen angel. The god. The demon. The spirit of vengeance. The truth is, the said demon will make his home where the gods lives. The inside that revealed when the door opened was a big hall covered in darkness, but with his enhanced sight he could make out the dusty floor and walls covered with worn out and crackling paintings that missed all its shine except for the story behind it that's still there. A big, surprisingly still intact chandelier that was covered in filth and cannot make out the materials that it's made of. And the ceiling were wet due to the rain, but it's still strong enough to stand still for years and years. And to the opposite of the room is a concrete throne-like structure that probably a statue sat long time ago. The people must have taken it. The floor still covered with once red carpet that now covered in brown layer of dust, and all in all the place is best for a stay. Nobody will find him. At least that is what he believes. Izuku looked around, and only thing is lacking is some light. Looking up at the chandelier hanging up the ceiling, he summoned hellfire and shoot it at the structure. When the hellfire hit it, both started merge together, and the hellfire took over it and giving it an appearance of black charred metal parts that once regular golden metal parts. And the crystals of it is now pure green with the hellfire, and it was alight and warm. Much better. Slowly walking to the throne, he blew off the dust and sat on it like a king and closed his eyes. Home sweet home. Knock knock. Izumi was laying on her comfy bed with blue bed sheets and white pillows, which one of it she was hugging, and the room itself is covered in pink paint and decorated with posters of movie characters, punk quotes, heroes and many others. The room was big, with a walk-in closet and a bathroom on the right side and a table on the left side of her bed with an alarm clock and a photo frame. She sighed and walked to the door, opening it and greeted by a PJ wearing Yura. "Hey Ami." Yura chirped, making Izumi smile and step aside, and welcomed her friend. "Hey. Yura. Come in." Izumi then closed the door behind them and sat down on the bed while Yura just examined her room. "How come you are here?" Okako shrugged and looked at Izumi and sighed. "You were so quiet today. Even when at dinner. Hey look, I know Bakugo has some history with you. But today both of you are quiet and distant. Sure, we know each other for a week or so. But we do care about you guys. We were worried." Okako spoke sadly, and Izumi felt the guilt surging through her. Was she looked that distant? By the sad eyes Izumi realized she was kind of ignoring them since the dinner. She mentally slapped her face. Of course they are worried. She handed her tension on others too. They were worried. Indeed. Izumi stood and gave an apologetical hug to Okako. "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to worry you guys. With my brother's birthday tomorrow I was sad," Izumi said moments before she realized what she just said. She can't believe she told the truth. Something that she didn't want them to know, for now at least. But still. It just escaped her mouth. Okako was visibly confused. "Why are you sad? It's your brother's birthday. Right? Gosh, I want to meet your brother too. Can I come and wish a happy birthday to your brother? I do want to see the great little brother of Ami." Okako chirped in excitement. An excitement that is hard to break. Quickly Okako shut her mouth and blushed, really embarrassed. "If you're okay, that is," she added. Izumi stood facing her friend, who's jumping up and down. How can she say no? We're heroes. Our past is our burden. When we save people, hide that burden with a smile. Izuka word ringed in her mind. But Okako is a hero too. Should it be okay to tell her the truth? But without a mental breakdown, Izumi cannot tell her the story. Should she let Okako see what she's gonna do tomorrow? The truth can't be hidden forever. After all, Yura believed Izumi with her own set of secrets, as well as other girls except for Momo. They were her friends. Izumi stuttered, and Okako shut herself and gave a small smile. "It's okay if I can't come." The disappointment was evident in her voice, and Izumi shook her head. "You can come," Izumi said. "On the way she'll explain it to her." Okako smiled and then sheepishly asked something more. "Well, we girls going to shopping, so can other girls come too? They do want to meet your brother, since you told us about how great and caring person he is." And Izumi's heart stopped almost. Now she can't say no without sounding rude. After all, they'll eventually know. "Sure," Izumi said, fake smiling, and Okako smiled, excitement bubbling out of her very being. "Hey, is this him?" Okako asked, picking up the photo frame on the table. In it Okako saw a middle schooler Izumi and a green broccoli-like haired boy on a beach. Both sitting down, hands each other's shoulder and smiling widely at the camera. Izumi refused to tear up though. She can't cry now. "Yes. You two look so identical. Like twins," Okako pointed out. Izumi told she had a little brother. "Not a twin little brother. Because we are twins," Izumi said, smiling. "But why isn't he here? If he's our age?" she asked, and Izumi felt the pain in her heart. "He's quirkless," she replied, and Okako looked a bit sad. The boy who a great and strong person. The boy gave his big twin sister hope and purpose. Is quirkless. Is like he's making her dreams come true while forgetting his own. But in the end, Izumi little brother is someone that Ami could rely on. Okako thought. The girl band woke up early in the morning that day. In their minds, not only the shopping today is exciting them, but also a birthday of certain someone who they are about to meet. Sure enough, Izumi isn't one so excited about. This the first birthday that's gonna end without the birthday boy. Without a party. So Izumi decided last night to tell the girls don't buy gifts yet. Sure. Izumi once considered to buy something Izuku always wanted. But in the end, what's the point buying a gift anyways? She took a shower, but that nervousness and sadness in her didn't cease to stop. Yurika messaged her few minutes ago and said they have the permission to go shopping and later they go to the party. But Izumi was afraid of what would they think. Will they forgive her for not telling them the truth? Will they think she was having fun with them? Will they understand her situations? But Izumi will ask for forgiveness even if they understands her. After all, she never said the truth and they are all hyped up. She's felt bad knowing they'll feel bad and disappointed. She could at least beg them for forgiveness or won't speak to them ever again if they ask her to. Izumi changed into a white shirt and black knee-length skirt and white socks and black shoes. Then checked the clock to see they have more than 2 hours left to leave. She'll take them first to the shopping and then to the place where she's going. If the opposite happened, while shopping, nobody won't enjoy it the slightest. At least they'll be happy that way. I will apologize and make up to what I did. Izumi nodded at her thoughts. She really wished she didn't have opened her mouth yesterday. She wouldn't have ended up in this situation. Izumi grabbed her purple and black side bag and exited her room after making sure she got her money. Can't let Momo do the paying. She insisted that yesterday, but neither of the girls aren't willing at first but gave in after seeing how happy Momo looked when she was talking about buying them some extra things to fill up their closet. She was earlier than other girls and climbed into the elevator and punched the first floor button. She always a bit aggressive towards the public stuff. They don't work the way she wants to. So she forced it upon them. When the sliding door opened, she was greeted by the sight of Kirishima and Siro playing video games on the TV while aggressively pressing and turning the joysticks of the two black controllers, which already looks like about squashed by them. And Izumi's mouth opened wide as she looks at them in utter disbelief. It's only the early morning. How come they're already up and playing games? Weren't they slept at all? She sighed, letting them there, and walked towards her favorite part of the building. The kitchen. She planned for some omelette or cereal. Not her favorite, but still in the top 10 spot in her list. However, when entering the kitchen, she wasn't the first one there. Her anger raised at the sight of the bastard at the sink gulping down the contents in his glass. He was wearing black PJs and was sweating and breathing and coughing while drinking water as if he saw a ghost or something. Maybe he did. A certain ghost he's now afraid of. Afraid to lose the owner of the ghost again. To wash away his guilty hands that can't be cleaned no matter how much he rub with the hope. The hope is long gone. It's only the suffering of the aftermath. Especially today is the day he'll have nightmares if he knows the date, and he already knows it and already had the nightmare. Now his old self is haunting him. That's his own fault. Guess the angry Pomeranian is having the worst of it. But he knows he cannot change the wrongdoings of his past self. Not like he changed slightest. He never will let go of that egoistic pride of his. Until he changes himself, the nightmares won't stop. I think you're not in the mood today. Kaken. She didn't hold back. Katsuki never did hold back his tongue before, then why should she hold herself back? Even though her heart is aching with all what's happening. She didn't care for it when dealing with this asshole. The boy flinched and dropped the grass, shattering it, and he jumped and faced her with wide teary eyes. Serves right. Izumi seen Izuku gives the same reaction when Katsuki sneaked up on the broccoli-haired teen, and seeing his current state a small big of satisfaction entered her heart. He deserves worse than this. She learned her lessons the day her little brother passed away, but now it's Katsuki's turn. What? You looks like you saw a ghost or something. Or you really did? Izumi asked coldly, no sign of sympathy for the boy. However, Bakugo didn't said anything, clearly shocked from all the startling. No. He's scared and cautious. And he looked so tired, and he was exhausted both mentally and physically. Seeing this, Izumi concluded. Today must have really triggered some emotion in him that he having the worst of the worst nightmares. Bakugo blinked and crouched down, picking up the broken glass pieces to avoid any conversation, and Izumi sighed. Now how you're feeling, Katsuki? Being in pain feels the same way you're feeling now. Afraid and wary of anything, and in the end you start to questioning yourself. Izumi said, and decided to make her breakfast. She ignored the teen and heard him sigh. I know you won't forgive my actions. I keep getting nightmares. I don't know what to do. From what I learned during these few months, I need your help. I just don't know how. He stopped thinking it's pointless. You can't change what you did. And I won't forgive you so easily. But it's all up to you. Don't ask me how. But I already gone through pain and can say that all you had to do is be, like less asshole. I know you can't change yourself completely. Neither I asking you to. You just has to learn how to hold back and when to say the things you say. If you try to change yourself completely, then the end result is that you won't be you anymore. Go ask your mother's help. She understands you better than I do. Izumi said calmly. She hold back. That's all. She can't do the same mistake Bakugo did. She heard the footsteps leaving and thought she heard a small thank you. Bakugo never-ending pride won't let him say out loud some words that's good. That's more Bakugo-like. The girl gang already at the mall by the time they realized it they are here. During some fun talk. They didn't cared about time so yet. They didn't even knew. The mall is a one that is a festival. Many small shops. Their owners. Countless customers and many more can be seen wherever you look. It's like, if one person leaves the mall 100 more will come. That's how you can compare it to the crowds gathered around. Well, in reality, at the time of this year, in the mall they do many offers and discounts that draws the attention of anyone. After all, who wouldn't want to miss the offers? Clearly not Ashido and Toru. Both females gone wild like hounds out of the cage once in a century. They basically dragged every girls here and there and pick up random accessories and dresses they come across. During the span of 30 minutes. Mina somehow had visual on an ice cream parlor. Momo smiled wide and she did her part of dragging to one of the tables and ordered all of them some multi-flavored and big cup of ice cream. And seeing their enthusiasm, Izumi felt guilt that rising up in her heart. She could only wish them being this happy after they figure out the truth. She wants them happy. But all she could do is pray for God to don't let the truth affects them. She blamed herself for what's happening. If it wasn't for she told stories about Izuku, if she didn't have accidentally told Yura about Izu's birthday, if it wasn't for her hesitant to tell the truth, maybe this would have happened. They won't be upset when they got where they are going. It's all her fault. She told herself that and she believes it. But honestly, she couldn't tell the truth is in fear that, going through the old memories may bring back her anxiety attack she dealt with after a week of his funeral. She could only think of it. Telling it to her friends and watching their pity or whatever reaction they give may set her into a panic attack. That's why she could only watch as the truth unfolded before them. Gladly the girls did not quite catch her mood swings except Yura, who gave Izumi a questioning look. Izumi just shrugged and smiled, which Yura bought. So Ami, what you think of the new vigilante? Mina butted in and others looked at Izumi, who blinked and held her calm composure. If she asked something stupid, they would know she wasn't paying attention. Why ask? Izumi questioned, taking a spoon of her ice cream that halfway empty just like others. Mina already ordered another round, which was surprising. Momo had wide smile on her face because they are happy with her small treat, which cannot consider as small. Well, we think whoever they are is quite strong, and what do you think? Well, they are dangerous enough that our school built dormitories for our safety? What you think? Mina asked in her usual happy tone. Like I've seen you don't give much attention to the topic. Jiro added, and Izumi looked at them wide-eyed. What she thinks of the vigilante? Why are they even talking about it even in the first place? Is there really even a vigilante? I don't know what to think about it, Izumi said. Other looked at her in disbelief. Of course there is. You didn't heard about the coast facility disaster that happened 2 days ago? Momo asked, shocked. What? Izumi asked, showing her confusion. Eureka is the first one to realize something. Oh yeah. Ami, you were late to come to living room last night. Yura reminded everyone, and their face changed to that of a realization. I forgot. The girls said in their own unique way. What's that had to do with anything? Izumi asked. Well, there was this news. Mina said, typing and clicking on her phone and showing it to Izumi, who held it and saw it was a video. Watch it. You did miss quite something. Mina said, clicking the play button for Izumi. The clip was 2 minutes long with some shocking sights and reports. Izumi saw the censored burnt corpse. Destroyed building. People who gone missing few months or so and heard the reports. Short interviews with the kidnapped people and Izumi heard them say about the vigilante, and the video showed all the evidence of the said vigilante presence and how they saved them. The kidnapped people referred the vigilante as a he. Many said about the vigilante appearance. Black outfit. White hair and green eyes. They don't know his name or who or where he came from. They thought he was a hero and learned that he's a most wanted vigilante when police told them about it. Mina took her phone back and looked Izumi. See. There is this vigilante exist. We couldn't believe it too. Though she said, and Izumi could only nod. She thought it was all fake. But the victims said they saw him. And it's true? Who knows? And I overheard Principal Nizu this morning when I was going to ask permission. Momo said, and other looked at her, making her blush in embarrassment. I wasn't intentionally eavesdropping. I swear, she added frantically, moving her, flailing her arms. No. We're curious. Kuro. What you heard? Yao Momo. Toru asked. Her invisible lips can be seen due to ice cream covering it. That look. It must be something important, I presume. Mina butted in, and Jiro supported the pink-skinned girl by nodding. Well, the conversation I heard weren't clear, however. But as far as I could hear them. Principal Nizu is one of the people investigating on the vigilante. Mr. Izawa is also searching for the clues or find the man entirely. But they said something like getting closer or was hand's reach. Momo said, and Tsu nodded. They're unsuccessful finding out who's this vigilante is. Right? Kuro. She put two and two together, the hint earning a nod from Momo. That sounds right, I guess. Maybe they are getting closer to finding out. Momo replied. I think they'll catch up to the man. You know, Mr. Izawa is the eraser head. Nothing escapes his eyes, I heard. Jiro said, and others nodded. Izumi already forgot her worries for a few minutes, that is. She is a fire user too, and the vigilante is seen to possess a fire-related quirk by the looks of the disaster. No. It's a massacre. A proper word that should use. Izumi deeply saw the damage done by the fire quirk of the vigilante, and she's now started to make an interest in the vigilante. She saw the destruction that no normal fire can do, and her own quirk can be rivaled with Bakugo, yet her and Bakugo quirk can't melt debris like wax. But how come some of the corpse aren't melted away if a thick concrete can be melted easily? They never won't know. After ice cream parlor they went straight for the dresses and choose their likings, and Izumi chose all punk-like or simple clothing. Just like she wanted. Her favorite colors the dark green or all the darker scale colors. Mainly black. She always a fan of black and don't know why. Well, it's not strange. People has their own choices of colors, and Izuku always loved green. The minute Izuku thoughts came into her brain, her eye widened and she remembered that her friends are about to see the truth. She was lost in the world of choosing some clothes. She forgot about the girls are about to see Izuku. However, she didn't forget today was his birthday. Izumi with a shopping bag checked out of the store, and Momo paid for their new belongings, and Izumi got an idea of her bank balance. It's so much that she can buy an entire mall on the spot. Benefit of having rich parents and ancestors. Izumi got out of the textiles and saw her friends gathered around one spot talking about something important, it seems, and they saw her, and in a second Izumi was surrounded by the girls. We found the store. It's best for what we came for. Momo said happily, pointing at a all-modern-looking building decorated with neon lights and was big. What store? Izumi wondered as the girls almost dragged her to the building, and inside she saw a beautiful lady cashier who welcomed them, and Momo got close to the woman and asked something, and the woman pointed at stairs. What's going on? She aimlessly followed them, and when she and others got there, Heart skipped a beat to see an LED board to the side of the stairs. It said gift section. Of course they're buying gifts today. For what, you ask? Well, it's Izumi Midoriya little brother Izuku birthday. But she told them don't buy anything. Well, basically she accidentally added, not now in the end. So they must have planning to buy something while they're on shopping. Izumi blamed herself again. Can't she do anything right? What gift we should get? Mina and Jiro said in unison. Whatever a boy our age loves. Toru chirped. Choose specifically. Momo said, and Yura nodded agreeing. Izumi is in a trance now. She calmed her breath before it quickened. Can't have having a panic attack in such a situation. Guys. Action figures. Mina suggested. Dresses or something. Momo said, making others sweat drop. We're gifting a boy. Momo. Okako reminded the creation girl, who blushed in embarrassment. Guys. Izumi called again, but they were in their own world of thinking. Music instruments. Jiro wondered. Something cute. Toruchard and Tsu listened to them and saw Izumi was frozen solid, as if battling her own inner demons. Izumi knows her brother. Ask her. Kuro. Tsu suggested, probably didn't have noticed something was wrong with Izumi. The girls got silent and looked at Izumi, who was staring at them and snapped out of her inner battles as they looked at her. Gifts aren't that meaningful here. So she have to come up with something else. Do your twin brother loves anything specific? Ami. Tell us. Yura questioned. They looked at her expectantly. Obviously for an answer. Man. She can't just tell them not to buy anything. That's end up sounding rude. But then something white caught Izumi's eyes and she nodded at them. This gift is perfect for now. After all, that white something is Izuku always loved to see. He also gifted some of it on her birthdays too. Nothing specific. For now these would be perfect. He loves them. Izumi said, walking to a section full gardening stuffs and pointed at the white roses. White rose are Izuku's favorite flower. Now this is the only logical gift they could buy for him. Others looked at her and then to the flowers. You sure? Momo frowned. She was hoping to buy something huge that'll make the boy happy. Are roses enough? It's his birthday, right? Shouldn't we buy something more than just flowers? Jiro questioned. Izuku loved white roses. Always did. It's more than enough. So that's your brother name? Yura said. Just like Izumi. Izuku and Izumi. Like twins. Mina said, thinking about it. Because they are. Yura said, and exchanged small talks and complimenting both names. Izumi tried to convince them, but they kept arguing until Momo said okay, under one condition. And that condition is what they carrying as walking to where Izuku is. And the condition was they'll each gift a big bundle that twice the size of a bouquet on each girl hands. To Izuku. Only Izumi knows her brother can't accept the gift open-handedly. They have to place them on top of him. As they were walking towards the place only Izumi knows, and they ran into a familiar face as they did so. Bakugo. All of them including Izumi shouted, seeing the boy, who already have his own set of small white rose bouquet in his right arm. The boy flinched and looked at them. He was wearing all black. A black jeans and shirt. It was normal him wearing all black, but didn't know the importance of it. So he remembers. Izumi thought, seeing white roses. Where are you going to? Mina asked, and Bakugo looks at Izumi, who was sad, and the girls were happy. Bakugo knew Izumi is going to visit Izuku, but didn't know the other girls too are coming. Seeing the girl happy look, Bakugo realized they aren't aware of anything. It's Izumi's decision. So he'll go with that. He's going to the same place. Izumi spoke and others looked at her. Bakugo didn't speak anything, which was weird. They noticed both Bakugo and Izumi looked upset. They shrugged off, thinking it was because of their history. Well, they had some history. Some unpleasant ones. Wow. Come on. We shouldn't be more late. You brother may be waiting for you, Izumi. But he got a big surprise coming. He's gonna have new friends today. Mina cheered, and Izumi tried her hardest to hold back tears. He'd love to. But it's too late now. Throughout their walk, Bakugo and Izumi were both quiet, and other girls tried to cheer them up. Izumi faked a smile and Bakugo did his signature scoff. Without much annoyance in it, and the girls bought it. 2 minutes later, the group entered a church compound and the girls looked around confused. Maybe Izuku is praying or something. It's his birthday after all. Izumi could not face them and hung her head low as they looked at her. And then, like a twist in the big movie, rather entering through the big door, Bakugo and Izumi turned right and headed towards another small gate that leads to the graveyard. The girls thought Izuku may be paying respect for a lost family member, but they couldn't realize the truth and looked around for a boy around their age. There aren't none except for the tombstones of countless resting ones, and at distance they saw a chubby woman wearing dark dress and had the same white rose bouquet in her arms. with two couples holding the same flowers and wore the dark-themed clothes, and they looked so much like Bakugo. Especially the woman. They were facing a tombstone, and the girls looked at each other slightly worried to find no boy similar to their age, and they looked at Ami, who has her face behind her hair, and Bakugo was emotionless. And the truth unfolded as they got near the people, and the girls read the name carved on the marble tombstone. It read, Izuku Midoriya, 14. A great son. Brother and friend. Your pure soul may rest in peace. And just like that, the tears Izumi Midoriya was holding poured down her cheeks, and she sobbed just like the way she did at the funeral. If you know Izumi since childhood, then this sight is enough to break you into tears. Like, she's one of the most toughest and bravest girl around, and watching her cry is tough to watch. Bakugo hung his head low. He doesn't deserve to cry. Unless he make up for his mistakes. Not by changing his characteristics. By becoming the #1 hero that he promised to Izuku when they were small. Izumi and Izuku promised that the time they just met. And the white roses are special because they promised in middle of the hordes of them under the bridge. Uraraka was the first to read the tombstone. Izuku Midoriya. The little brother of Izumi. The same brother Izumi claimed to be the best brother in the world. The one who helped his big sister out when she didn't have a dream to live up to. The same little brother who hid all his sadness just to see his sister smile. The little brother who never hated his sister when she hurted him. The strongest quirkless boy who never gave up on his sister even after she given up on him. The little brother who brings smile to those he loved and smiled bright in the worst situations and gave his family hope, is not here with them anymore. Leaving the loved ones behind who still isn't had enough of seeing the sun rivaling smile. They can't see him smile anymore. The angel is now fallen. The happiness and excitement faded away, and Okako stood there frozen. She wanted to see the best brother of Izumi Midoriya. Wanted to speak and introduce herself, and wanted to see the smile Izumi once said is the best thing that could cure the depression. She planned a lot in her with the teary eyes. Izumi fell on her knees facing the girls. I'm sorry, I should have told the truth. Izumi said between her sobs, making the girls tear up as well. Izuku's death was shocking and sad. At the same time, their best friend literally on her knees begging for forgiveness for some reason they don't understand. Now Uraraka knows why Izumi looked a bit sad speaking of her brother. Way she was crying yesterday, and why she was hesitant to let them come with her to greet Izuku. And why she insisted on just buying flowers as gifts. It all made sense now. And now the girls are sadly looking down at their friend who mother helped onto her feet. The woman was also crying, as well as the Bakugo family. They really did lost someone dearest. Someone that was a sunshine in the darkness and faded away, giving them everything he got. I should have told the truth, but before Izumi could finish, all the girls enveloped her into a warm hug. She was expecting them to do something else. Please don't say it. After all, we forced you to let us come with you. We could understand. Uraraka said, and the other girls cooed and comforted their crying best friend. Izumi was thankful they understood her situation, and she glad she met them. She's so lucky. After that, everyone calmed down and paid their respect while eyes closed, praying for his soul and eternal peace. All of them was silent but less sad because of the memories of Izuku. After all, he never did anything to make them cry aside from his death, and all of them stood there watching the unmoving tombstone and the name on it. As they standing in silence, they heard metal clashing into the pavement as if its footsteps which getting closer and closer to them. The presence of whoever is provided a comforting warmth in them that their sadness lessened. Turning around, they save a figure covered in all black leather outfit with hood covering the person identity and green metallic spikes on his jacket, shoulders and boots which has a metal underside that made the continuous sound as he walked towards them. They look at the figure up and down trying to figure out who man is. But neither of them knew who they was. The figure came to a stop at the head of Izuku tombstone and looked at it for a minute. Excuse me, mister. But are you sure you don't come here by mistake? Mitsuki questioned at the figure who glowing green eyes looked her. I'm in the right place, he replied, and due to his sound was a bit heavy. They won't pinpoint it that quickly. Who are you, mister? Do we know you? Inko asked cautiously, even after feeling safe around the figure. The figure didn't reply and summoned something glowing green in his hand that was so beautiful. A white flower that looked outworldly by the hellfire, beautifully dancing around its nice smooth white texture, and the flower was so captivating that others stared at it in awe. The figure placed the flower on top of the tombstone and then the entire marbled grave glowed a bright green and others looked at it cannot even speak a single word. The sight was elegant and when the light died down, instead of a single fiery flower, there is a whole vine and many same white flowers without the fire. Decorated the tombstone so beautifully and the words engraved were visible and the flowers are something unlike they saw before. Then without a word the figure walked away. Wait. Who are you? What you just do now? Mina asked for everyone and the figure stopped and looked at them over his shoulder and smiled even if they can't see it. The flowers are an appreciation and a token of a reward to those who face difficulties in their life held strong. The figure said. You think he's great too? Yurika asked amazed by how great a person Izuku was. The figure chuckled. That's not my place to conclude. What matters now is how you think of him. The figure said waking away leaving them stand there. At least he gave himself the appreciation he never gave himself before. Okay, thanks for watching, bye.